ZESCO is a key and strategic institution in the lives of many Zambians and the economy of the country. Besides unlocking economic potential, electricity supports various industries that include manufacturing, agriculture, and many others. But ZESCO, which is a monopoly in the supply of electricity in Zambia, is beset with many challenges that include debt, low liquidity, and poor corporate governance. The electricity company has a new director and a new board of directors. Will these professionals help turn around the company and resolve the historical problems which the important parastatal has faced for decades now? My guest today is Vickson Nc'ube, ZESCO Board Chairperson. You're watching Sunday Interview, and I'm your host, Grevazo Zulu. Mr. Nc'ube, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Grevazo. My pleasure to be with you today.
Just to start, let's get to know you a little more. Who is Vickson Nc'ube?
Vickson Nc'ube is a person who trained as an accountant in his early days, studied Zambia Diploma in Accountants, went on to do ACCA, and many things that make an accountant an accountant. I started my first job as an internal auditor at Zambia State Insurance Corporation many years ago. I rose to the position of Director Life and Pensions, left that place and went to African Life Financial Services, Regional Manager in charge of the Copper Belt. Came to the Zambia Institute of Chartered Accountants, became the CEO for a number of years. Then I went to head the accountants body, the East, Central, and Southern Africa Federation of Accountants for a couple of years before I went to found and head the Pan-African Federation of Accountants. Briefly, that is who Vickson Nc'ube is.
Now, new board, new management at ZESCO, have you settled? Do you understand what you've been given and what you're facing and what you have to deal with?
Before I even say anything, let me make a very important acknowledgement. From its foundation, ZESCO had a board chairman. It had board members. It had managing directors and members of staff, current and past. These people, all of them in their own way, have contributed to making ZESCO what it is today. And I'm not going to sit here and make it appear like I'm the best thing that ever happened to ZESCO. My board is the best thing that ever happened to ZESCO. I acknowledge the contribution of every Zambian who's worked at ZESCO in various capacities. And that is something that I want us to understand as I start our conversation. Now, having said that, we, the board and our management, have spent the past 4 months studying what we have entered, the assignment we've been given. And we've come up with a good understanding of where we are. 3 things keep us awake at night. The first, I'll use a very strong term, poor service delivery. Secondly, we have financial problems. Thirdly, there are governance issues that need to be addressed. Now, those 3 things keep us awake. Now, let me just drill down into each one of them. First, poor service delivery. As I'm talking to you right now, I am convinced somewhere in Zambia, someone has a power outage. Connected to the grid, pays their bills, they have their meters loaded, but the power is not there.
Someone is holding on to a complaint number.
Someone is holding to a complaint number, and I'm talking about every second of the day in Zambia. Now, that cannot make me a proud board chairman, and that cannot make any ZESCO board member happy, number one. Secondly, there are people who have paid for connection, and they're still on the queue. In fact, when we went through, the worst case, only one, not many, 10 years, still waiting to be connected.
10 years waiting on the queue.
10 years waiting on the queue.
Have you taken an interest to understand where the problem could be?
Now, that's where
10 is a little too much.
True. And that's why I'm saying that we cannot be a proud board and a proud management, because we cannot get someone's money, and for 10 yeyears, we cannot ask either.
And they've probably forgotten about you, because 10 years, who waits for that long?
You may actually be talking to the estate if we were to dig deeper. But now, the large cluster stands between 1 and 5 years. Now, I cannot be a proud board chairman. Neither can be my board members be proud. Neither can be my managing director and his management. We are all beset by this big challenge, which makes our customers not happy with us. And we acknowledge their frustration, their anger, and all the things that we see in the social media. And even when you go to a barber shop and someone somehow identifies you, you just immediately get this outpouring of conversations about how frustrated people with how we are running things. And we acknowledge that.
So when you talk about connections, I want you to go a little deeper in that. Where is the problem? Now, is it the money? Is it an inefficient system?
So
is it just a lack of concern?
There are a combo of things that create that problem. First, our current connection fees were last approved in 2005. And I'm talking about 2022. So in all these years, we are still using a rate to connect people that was approved in 2005. Now, I just want to do a mathematical explanation. The person who gets connected in a high-density area, what we call low-cost high-density, they pay 750 kwacha for a connection. The ones in a demarcated area are charged 2,100 for a connection. The ones in an undemarcated area, 1,700. Now, just go and find me a cable meter, a meter of a cable that we use as a service cable. I haven't even talked about other things, just a service cable, that you can pay at that amount. You won't. So what you start doing, if I need, let's say 2,000 connect the low cost people, I will say 750 multiplied by 5. Where does it take me? So I connect one person. The other ones, I bunch them. So as this system keeps going, I'm piling a problem. Now, that is not the only problem, because if I was to speak that, I would not be realistic. We also have our own internal problems, okay? Attitude, prioritization.
Corruption, people skipping the queue, I guess. Well,
no. In fact, I'm coming to that point, in particular, in relationship to what we are talking about as a board. And let me clarify something as well, we're still here. There is information that went into the public domain about new connection fees for ZESCO. May I clarify?
You published that?
No, and that's what I want you to get correctly. We had tasked management internally to give us information on how it would cost if we were to just upgrade by one thing, the cost, the change in the exchange rate. 2005, we are sitting at between 3 and 4. 2021, we're sitting at between 16 and 18. So we said, can you just factor in that? So when the figures, an internal consultation document doesn't even reach my board. Next thing, it's in the press, and it's being debated.
Was the board in a hurry? Was management in a hurry?
No, it wasn't.
Before they could give the board, they had already published it.
No, but this was still internally circulating among the management. It hadn't even reached a board level. Someone excitedly, governance, what I'm talking about. Someone within the structures of ZESCO takes it to the social media. I haven't even seen it as board chairman. My board hasn't seen it, then it's already in the public.
So you'd classify that as a leakage?
Yes, I would classify that as symptoms of poor governance, because in a properly governance organization, that document should have done its round internally before it hits our board. First, the MD would obviously have come, chair, this is what we're thinking about. Then I consult my board. Then we sit as a board, deliberate before we make an application to ERB. That thing goes in the public domain before I have seen it as a board chairman, before the board has it, and before I even make an application to ERB, suddenly I'm getting calls. Mr. Chairman, you have increased. I'm even shocked. The gentleman was driving me, I was with a friend. He says, wait, I'm with the board chairman. Chair, you have increased tariff, the connection fees. I have no idea. Where have you seen it? He shows me. I said, no. That should have been an internal document within ZESCO before it even reaches the board, before it even goes to ERB. So where we sit today.
Have you concluded your consultation?
We have concluded.
Have you made the application?
We haven't made the application. We have made the board has now passed the resolution. It has asked management to work out on a well-structured document that we are going to review as a board and submit an application to ERB. And once that is done, then we'll be in a position to announce. Now, let me just push the point further now, since we're already here. We want to enter into a social contract with the Zambian citizens. Once we agree on those fees, ERB approves, we don't know what they approve. We are persuaded to believe that, given that it has been long since it was reviewed, they will be sympathetic, but we want to make a social contract reversal. You pay that amount, 21 days, social contract, we must connect you. What am I trying
to do? But then what you're trying to do is, if those figures are a reflection of what you are going to do, it means what you're going to do is knock out a lot of people from applying.
No.
You're just going to reduce the queue.
No, we're not going to reduce the queue.
Because it will be very expensive.
No, we have very smart ways of doing things. We'll say to you, okay, here's your, remember it's not across the board. In the high density area, you have your own rate. Let me, as a working figure, multiply this by, I would say 4,000. Say fine, reverse you, 4,000. But you may not afford the 4,000. Can we agree therefore that over a period of time, whichever you're comfortable with, as you pay your bill, as you buy your units, I get 10%, 20%, or 50%, depending on your ability, to be paying, contributing towards your connection fees. You don't, but still more than 21 days works. You have your electricity in 21 days, then it is just phasing your repayment period, so that, because remember, I still have to pay for the connection. Whether it is 10 kwacha or 200, I still have to pay it as ZESCO. If I don't, you won't have it. Now, let me also give you this scenario that we seated today. 31st December, we are sitting at 67,000 paid and not connected.
67,000?
67,000 Zambians paid but not connected.
So this is the money you've consumed as ZESCO?
You've
not given the service.
Precisely, you get the point. So if we don't resolve this issue, now, while I'm still at it, what am I creating? I'm creating a corruption industry. You want to electricity very badly, so you come to me. Now, the person who is supposed to say, look, I have a kangono. I can give you. And I say, no, actually for those, I need 5,000. Because you're in a hurry, you'll pay. And I can assure you that those people on the queues, there are some who have paid more than the amount that are being proposed. That will be
just to get connected.
Just to get connected. Now, where does that money go? It doesn't beef up the ZESCO liquidity for us to be able to connect the next person. It goes in someone's pocket. So all I'm saying, let us have a fair game. Let's allow people. Let's give you the realistic cost. And when we give you that realistic cost, let us arrange on how you can spread it. It's got to be paid.
So while we're still at fees, the issue of fees, maybe we could also look at tariffs.
Yes.
Cost-reflective tariffs. What is the way forward?
Now, let me just also correct the English cost-reflective tariff. I studied accountants. There are two types of costs. There's what we call absorption costing and marginal costing. If I was to talk of a cost-reflective tariff, what I would do is cost my generators, my transmission lines, cost the staff and everything. And then I divide by my potential customers and say, this is the tariff you're going to pay. My friend, we can never go to a cost-reflective tariff. We can only talk about a marginal cost of where we are, where our lines stand. A cost to bring you to where you are. Now, we then, remember, as professionals, we do calculations. Let's look at our, and these are just thoughts that I'm sharing with you. They would be debated by the boards. They'll go to RB, we'll debate with our government, our ministries. We are saying now, Zambia has that Kariba Dam for many years. For all intent and purposes, it has moved from capital cost repayment. It is now on maintenance and upgrade. Now, those costs are not as high as the...
For the new installation.
Yes. Then I ask myself, who has borne those costs all these years? My answer will be, oh, it's the Zambian population. So why don't I, in my structuring of costs, give them this benefit? Yes, we will adjust the costs, the tariffs, but we'll be taking into account the fact that these people have borne the cost of building the current infrastructure. We have, then we will be able to play with figures and things like that.
Is this the same thing when we talk about removal of subsidies on electricity?
Subsidy.
There's been that talk. And we need clarity on it. There's on one end, people will talk of cost-reflective tariffs. And on the other end, people will talk of removal of subsidies.
I don't know what guides that debate, but the point is, You cannot, as a father who's lost his job, continue renting a house that would finish your terminal benefits. That is what subsidy is all about. You know you need 10 years. You still have children who need to go to school for the next 10 years. But you are living in a house that will exhaust your money in 2 years. You soon go to your neighbors to start asking for money to buy meal, because you are so proud you can't leave the house, that beautiful house that you lived in when you're still a CEO. Now, to me, a subsidy works like that. You are refusing to accept your current state of affairs. So as a country, let's accept that, look, we can no longer afford. Let us get into a conversation on how we can share the burden. Remember, as I'm talking, I am aware. I have a brother, I have a nephew, I have a niece who lives in a place where they cannot afford what a person who lives in Kablonga does. So I must, as I talk here, because remember, we are not machines, we are human. Every decision that we deliberate as ZESCO, as a board, talk to our ministers, to ERB, to everyone, our management, we are talking as human beings, not as machines. So we are aware that in whatever structures we come, ultimately, we are not...
You have to take care of the very...
Yeah, we are not in the business of knocking someone out of the grid.
Have you made any conclusion on these tariffs? Have you come to a conclusion? Have you concluded the debates? Have you applied?
No, that's the point. We haven't applied. It is still at a management board level. It hasn't gone to ERB. That's why I cannot be very much explicit in what I say, because remember, I have a regulator who will finally discuss with me and put paid to the discussion. Because
you have to convince them.
Yes,
and they have to set targets for you.
Precisely.
Which ZESCO hasn't made in so many years. A number of them have not been made by ZESCO.
Yes, and it is my hope that as we work together, Zambians, ZESCO management, ZESCO board, ERB, all of us, IDC, we are all working towards achieving those targets. Either we set achievable targets that are realistic, or we set target that will never be met. I don't think if a target is met for 3 years, either you have wrong people on the job or you have wrong targets. So either way, we got to address
one of the two has to be changed
or
moved around.
Yes, you got to shuffle around.
There was talk of gradual increase until we reached the cost-reflective tariff, as it is called. And this was way back 2015, 2016. And at one point, they were those increments were halted. Have you taken time to study what it was?
Now, we have a holistic approach to this problem. Because, you know, if you pick a cost in isolation, what is a cost? We cannot isolate. We're looking at the whole organization. What is ZESCO? What drives this? What drives that? Until we have dealt with what we call the cost drivers, what makes the cost a cost? I think to be premature to rush into making a decision based on what it is. We got to see, now, where is ZESCO? What makes us have this? What makes this thing cost so much? Now, a subject that obviously is related to the finance part. Let's look at the ZESCO trend. 2014, 2015, ZESCO was in profitability. 2015, 2016, it dips. We have this long curve where we've been loss-making up to the audited financial statements of 2020. I cannot talk about the current one because they're not yet in the system. So we have these continuous years of losses. So we looked at them. What is it? What triggered this problem? Then we come to find out, no, there was a huge drought in 2015, which necessitated the emergency importation
of power from Mozambique.
Yes. Now, that tipped the scale. Then we went into agreements with independent power producers. Now, when I looked at the figures with my old hat as an accountant, I found out that actually, for every kwacha that we get from you grabbers when you buy your units, between 47 and 52 kwacha goes to servicing this debt. No, not even the debt. The issue of paying independent power producers and that emergency power supply. What does it leave me? Either 53 or 48. Now, I'm using those two figures because when the kwacha appreciates, it goes down. When kwacha depreciates, it goes up. So I am saying that we now understand where our cost drivers sit. Now, before we rush to say cost-reflective tariff, are we able to structure ourselves to ensure that we deal with these drivers? Yes, there are other drivers, because even with that 48 kwacha I'm left with, 48 ngwe I'm left with, I need to see how I can rationalize it, even as ZESCO. So this debate, before it's concluded, we got to deal with the cost drivers, see where we can arrest certain costs. Now, by arresting, I'm not saying hold them back. Improve the delivery system to reduce those costs. Where we're still at it, I can just inform you that we're already in discussion with our independent power producers. Guys, this is our reality. Are you able to start reconsidering this tariff that you are charging us? It's unsustainable. It's not working. Your debts are piling. You're not getting your money. What is it that you are benefiting? You can take us to court, yes, but the court will decide. After decision, you come to ZESCO, you don't have the money. So,
but one of the issues, maybe I could bring this question in, one of the issues is a concern that is coming from the people that probably the tariff structure is not just. Business and industry is subsidized by the consumer, the ordinary consumer, and the ordinary citizen.
That is the conversation we are having.
So even as we imported the power, the business should have paid its cost.
Now, remember, we are talking in 2022 about what happened in 2016. I always believe that a decision is made in the immediacy of a situation. We cannot judge the person who made the decision on that day. You get the point? Because we were not there. We don't know what pressures they faced the day they made the decision. So we can only say, let's manage the future. Going forward, how do we deal with this situation? How do we dig ourselves out of this hole that we are in? Hence the negotiations we are having now with our partners, the independent power producers, on this particular subject.
What's ZESCO's position on current tariff structure? Are you happy across different categories?
No, we are not.
Is everyone paying what they're supposed to pay?
No, we are not happy.
Is everyone paying what they're supposed to pay?
No. Not everyone's paying what they're supposed to pay. But like I say, until I have talked to ARB, I'll just give you that I'm not happy.
You're not going to point at the culprits?
No, there are no culprits, really. Remember, if I make a decision and give you a tariff, you're not a culprit, I am. I made the decision. You didn't come to me and say, I'm going to pay you so much. No, we discussed. When you came to me, we agreed a price. Maybe at the time, because I didn't realize that there could be other challenges of movements of exchanges, I thought at that time it was good. But all I'm saying is, where we sit, we are understanding the cost drivers, who we think should pay this and who we think should not pay that. But until we have resolved that with the ARB, I'll leave it at this.
When should residents expect, business residents expect an application to be made by ZESCO?
We are very confident that within
adjustment of tariffs.
Now, remember, the adjustment of tariff is a
negative connotation.
No, it's got a lot of pyramid that we've gone through. We go through. There is the issue of the ministry. Everyone has an interest in this, so we will take it on our strides. We do intend to have at least some applications. Our priority right now is the connectivity. We just don't want you to wait to be connected. Priority number one.
That's the first application that's going to go.
That one we believe it will hit ERB within April.
And the other one?
No, that one, it's a wider stakeholder consultation, that one. We cannot just jump and say we're going to do this, because we have to make sure that every stakeholder is engaged, involved, understood. And before we finally say we are ready to apply, we would have done all our homework. We may even come talk to you also, say, hey, Grivas, what do you think?
How much are you able to pay?
Yes, how much are you able to pay reasonably? Eh?
Let's get back to the bigger picture. I know that the president, during his first address to Parliament, he did mention and informed the nation that financial and structural reforms were going to be undertaken and implemented at ZESCO. What are these measures and reforms? So
we understood those to say that how is this organization structured? Are we understanding it ourselves? So we looked at it. We say now, What is the structure of ZESCO right now? And I'm not talking about staff, structure of the organization. All right, management, what are your views? Say, no, if we started managing rivers, river basins, instead of managing generation, Zambezi Basin, what is it giving us? How do we optimize that river? So we structure it like that. Kafue Basin, where is it sitting? Now, all other rivers in Zambia, where are our potentials? Now, these are the conversations we're starting to go into now with management. And we're already working on a strat plan, 10-year rolling strat plan, which will then inform, will be able to, once it is launched, I'll bring a copy to you so that I see this is where, when I was talking, this is what I meant. So then we do that. Then we look at the operations of ZESCO. Why don't we unitize these things? Say, hey, Choma, why don't we treat it as a business unit? We just can't lump money together. No. Choma, what are you doing? What are your incomes? What are your expenses? Each one of these units now inform us how they are performing, not with a view of penalizing them, with a view of understanding where our strengths and our weaknesses are, so that as we move forward, we know where we are. So that is the issue of our structural things that we're looking at. Of course, there's also the talk of, do we make ZESCO 3 companies? Do we make ZESCO?
Unbundling ZESCO into generation, transmission, and distribution. Now, I have had the opportunity of talking to a few people who went that way, and they're all crying that we wish we hadn't. These are other companies in other countries. Yes, actually, I would have mentioned the countries, but they volunteered the information. Chairman, don't try. But that's what people are pushing for. People are saying ZESCO should have no business in supplying power to the consumer. Why doesn't ZESCO supply the power to the companies, who in turn will compete and efficiently supply it to me as a consumer? Now, I want to ask you a question. Do you think a company would go to Namwala in Namisengwe to go and give electricity to that person, or to Chief Mugubodu, take electricity there? No, they are commercial. But those are isolated cases. No. So you would move out of Lusaka as ZESCO. So let me tell you. Why don't you leave Copper Belt to private companies? ZESCO to first, Lusaka, the urban areas. Move out of there, move to the rural areas. Before we get there, let's get our statistics correct. Access to electricity in Zambia now is 37%. That is basically defining your urban area. So it means the rest of our people are on firewood or charcoal. It is our drive and our dream as ZESCO that in the next few years, we must keep reducing that fraction of people using charcoal and firewood and bring back on the grid. Now, this is how these things work, my friend. So you think the private sector can't do that? They can't go where the business is. They would know where the business is. It must first develop. Remember, growing a business takes time. And by the way, the Zambian law has already opened up the market. If you are able to generate and find a customer, the law already allows you to do that. You don't need to, all you need to do is talk to ZESCO about the lines, to use the lines to get where you want to do, because ZESCO has the infrastructure already at that level. But if you are able to generate and you have a customer, we'll talk and we'll allow you to do that. So as the law stands, the Electricity Supply Act, as it stands today, there's no impediment to that. So all we are saying, you do not need to deal with the ZESCO structuring the way it is to achieve that. It's not always an either-or situation. Sometimes it's both. Let's move both directions. The law has opened up. Let's move that way. Very difficult to compete with ZESCO. Why is it difficult? It's not difficult. Look at the transport sector, how it opened up, and now we have buses all over. Why is it difficult? So in your planning, unbundling of ZESCO is out of the picture? Unless listening to you talk. Unless the shareholder comes and says, Mr. Chairman, my direction has changed. I want to unbundle. But as I see things myself, if it was my opinion, I'll still tell you that the unbundling of ZESCO is not a long-term solution. So what are your plans to make ZESCO more efficient? Good. So here is
my theory in life, you cannot stand on one leg. I always look at the symbol for Egypt those days. They had an animal that had about 6 legs, 7 legs, I can't remember that, but it was an animal with a lot of legs. So look at Egypt. Zambia must then start standing on many legs. We talk of solar, we talk of hydro, we talk of thermal, we talk of gas, we talk of waste, we talk of heavy fuel, and any other technological source of energy that will come, we embrace it. And ZESCO must be part of these players who make sure that these solutions are embraced. Now, even the drought that hit us in 2015, if we're standing on many legs, there would have been no need for a panic buying. So all I'm saying is, one of the major solutions to our energy problems in Zambia is let's diversify. Let's stand on many legs. And those legs, remember, electricity is also a national security issue. This idea of importing, you can be sabotaged. I mean, I'm not saying there are people sabotage. All I'm saying is you got to have control of certain things in the country. And electricity, in my view, is one of them.
So you have a laid out plan
Yes.
of how you're going to diversify
Yes.
the electricity generation
Yes.
and development. Now, when will we see the remaining turbines at the Kafue Gorge Lower Commission?
Very
While
good question.
we talk diversification, we still need to talk increasing capacity of power that you're supplying.
Definitely. Remember hydro is the backbone for our electricity, and we can't abandon it. And I dare say, even if someone advises me that coal is not good for environment, I will not abandon it. I need the reserves. So here is what happens. We have a funding. We have a contract to build and finish those 5 hydropower stations in Lower Kafue. They are there. Then we have a funding to do that. Suddenly, the funding freezes. We will not go into detail of that, but the funding stops. Dries up. And we are still in this state. Remember, no matter how you cry at a funeral, you're not to resurrect a dead person. So no matter how Zambians can cry about that funding, no, the funding, it doesn't help. So we sit with our management, guys, from our little resources, can you go and negotiate with our contractor? Let's start paying him or her or them, whatever we are able, so that we are able to finish these outstanding generators. As I'm talking to you, 3 are done. From internally organized resources, 3. We are now targeting that by the end of the 3rd quarter, we should have all 2 max by the end of the year. All the other 2 must have been finished. We will then continue paying our contractor the debt, but we are already paying bit by bit, to make them continue the work. And we are very confident that before December this year, all 5 would have been commissioned. And that's what we are looking at. Because now, you cannot continue crying, no, we have no funding, this funding. We say, guys,
let's raise internal resources.
Let's move. We're in a hurry to solve these problems. So that is in a very good progress. Our contractor are now on site, are back on site.
So let's look at one of the complaints that you often, the nation gets to hear about, is Popular Province failing to develop its large mining potential, because there's no consistent power being supplied, no adequate power. What are you doing to improve the capacity there?
Remember, as a ZESCO board and management, we are fully in tune with the government objectives of diversifying and developing the whole country. We are also alive to that. So we are remember I talked to you about looking at every river. We are looking at the potential of every river. We are also looking at the potential of going into wind energy, where there's a lot of wind. We're already looking at the potential of going into solar, where there's a lot of sun. And you know, Zambia is blessed with a lot of sun. So we are looking at every possible solution. And we are not just looking, we are working at them. You'll be surprised the hive of activities that you'll see in the coming year or so, this year and going to next year, of approved project. This one wants to do a solar project, okay? This one wants to do wind energy, okay? This one wants to do solid, this waste, you know, the things that someone saying I can convert to electricity. Okay, my friend, get your plant, find your money, do it, we sign an agreement, proceed. If you have a tariff that we can't meet, find your customers, because the law allows you now.
There's this province, I mean, you haven't given them a definite answer.
That's the, so what I'm saying is the whole
there are mines there that want to kickstart production.
Those mines, in fact, we've already been approached by a couple of them who wants to set up manganese smelters. We're already discussing. We're engaged already. In short, we are not leaving anyone behind. The Luapula province is part of Zambia, and it shall be developed. We shall make sure that electricity get there. We are going to talk to people who can help us, partner with us to make strong lines to get there. And before you know it, it shall
the mines will be running. Let's look, you've spoken a lot about alternative energies. When are they getting online?
Remember, it takes time. I was finding out from people who understand solar. They said a solar project, give it a year or two. So we are expecting that 2023, going forward, we'll start seeing these energies coming on board, the solar energy starting to come on board, because that is what the experts are telling us. Grivazio, as the ZESCO board and management, we are committed to lighting up Zambia. And my take in life, every Zambian, no matter where you stay, you deserve proper energy solution. And ZESCO must find itself working with every other stakeholder to ensure that that dream is realized. Every Zambian has a good source of energy. In fact, we must then limit firewood and charcoal to drying when we are drying for, but others are a real source of energy.
Conserve the environment and
yes.
protect the environment.
Yes.
I know we're still looking at many other issues. I know we'll look at cost-saving measures and reducing wastefulness, but maybe let's get to this very important issue that has been at the doorstep of ZESCO for so many years, and it doesn't seem to get eradicated: political interference. It's been in the public. Everybody knows about it. It's been there for over 20 years, 2 decades.
I'll put it in.
It's been running.
I'll put it in 2 ways.
Donors and partners have even demanded that we need to privatize ZESCO so it's not abused.
Yeah.
Your immediate predecessor, I think, Mita Chitala, has written a book, Corporate Capture, How Not to Run an Electricity Company. He's also referred to this political interference, which is in all manner of description of immense proportion.
Good. Now, when I told you the top 3 things that keep us awake, one of them was governance. Now, if you're talking about political interference, I would classify it as governance. But let me give you a rider. Since I became board chairman, not a single politician has come to me to say, do this or that. Give a contract to this one or that one. So
give a job to this one.
No, I haven't gotten to that level myself.
Maybe the MD?
I won't speak for him, but if he had, because our arrangement with the MD is that when he gets pressure from politics, he must bring it to me. Because I'm the one who is appointed by the politicians. I'm the one representing the shareholder, who then gets called the politician. I told him, when you get pressure, bring it to me, I'll go and talk to the politician. So far, he has not yet referred anything to me to say, no, Chair, I have this pressure. So I can only imagine that where we stand right now, we don't have political interference. But that said, I can, without contradiction and without fear, state that under our watch, as the ZESCO board and management, ZESCO shall serve the Zambian people. It shall not be used for any political end. We will not be doing anything that people suspect happens. Because where I'm sitting, I haven't had my audit yet. I've asked the auditor, we are still in the process of procuring the auditors. We want to procure auditors. The Auditor General is sitting at ZESCO right now. They are auditing. When I get those reports, then I'll be on solid ground to make certain pronouncements, say there's political interference, there is not. But right now, I can only say, if there's a lawyer in the room, that I do not want to stand on the realm of hearsay, conjecture, and speculation. That is political interference. But should that evidence come to me, trust me, I'll come here and tell you that there was political interference, and I'm bringing an end to it.
You're speaking in present tense or past tense when
both.
You talk about there's no political.
Both.
There's been political interference.
That's what I'm saying. It's been
spoken about by the former board chair. It's been in courts.
So here
It's been in reports for some cooperating partners.
I have read Dr. Mbita's book, cover to cover. I'm not a person who runs away from, because I get very important information from there, okay? I read that book, and I classified the things in two. He states facts, he makes conclusions. So I don't want to deal with his conclusions,
I'm looking
at the facts. When he says this happened, I look, did it or didn't it? Because of this, now I leave the because now that is his personal assessment of the situation. Now, if for example, Grivazo, you come to me, let's say you are a politician, come say, look, my village, I want votes from my village also. Can you take electricity? Is that political interference? No. You are appealing for a Zambian sitting in the remote part of Zambia to get electricity, which he deserves.
If you're told not to increase, if you're told not to increase tariffs?
No. Not if you are. Remember, this is a consultative process. As you sit, I must have facts that I can present to anyone. These politicians don't get the call. Chair, don't increase tariffs. No, they don't do that. They'll call you, engage. If I think I need the MD, I go with them. MD, what do you think? We analyze. And then we give them correct position. Now, engaging with a politician is not interference, but where, to me, the first question you asked me is political interference. I have a nephew, give him a job, make him an engineer. What did he study? No, he's got a degree in theology. No, but how can a theologian run an engineering section? We don't have a religious department.
What if you had a degree in electrical engineering?
But again, I will assess. Degree in electrical engineering. Did he do bulk engineering that can make him stand there? Because remember, now I've come to learn after talking to the engineers at ZESCO.
Does he deserve the privilege? Maybe that's the question.
So first, let's look at it like this. Every Zambian deserves a job everywhere. Just because my father is a politician. I mean, I have daughters, ladies and gentlemen. They also want jobs in Zambia. They will not get them because they are ZESCO Board Chairman's children. They will get it because they're educated.
They're qualified.
Yes. But so all I'm saying is, for every politician every relative politician employed anywhere, not just as ZESCO, NAPSA, state insurance, or any other state enterprise, should not immediately be viewed as political interference. We must understand that there are also Zambians who also deserve jobs
to work at any place.
Yes.
They've got a right.
Yes.
Those talk of ghost workers, over 100 ghost workers on the ZESCO payroll.
I have looked at
it was a big story.
I did two things. I haven't got the conclusion.
People's names splashed over the media.
I've asked the management of ZESCO to do for me what I saw, a human capital audit. And I told them 3 criteria. Look at every job at ZESCO, every employee. Qualification, relevance, and value. 3. When I get that report, I'll have an answer for that if there's a ghost worker. Because ghost workers can be 2. A person on a payroll not working for ZESCO, a person working for ZESCO not delivering anything. Still a ghost, isn't it? No,
that one is working, probably.
It's not working.
Legally they're employed with a letter of employment and offered a job. But the ghost workers that people talked about are those who people said had their names there, but they never worked at ZESCO.
So far...
Have you discovered anything?
No, so far no. But I've asked management to find me that. So far no one has brought me that evidence. And let me appeal to people who know that. Just come to me. Tell me, show me, you can find me on Facebook and inbox me. Just tell me, this person, there's speculation, but I want evidence, this person. And I can go to ZESCO and go to finance. Guys, can I have this information? The day I discover that it was true, I'll be the first one come and admit to you that, yes, that is a correct fact.
We had ghost work.
Even if it's just one. I just want that ghost. We will not only allow that ghost to disappear.
But you prosecute the ghost?
No, we will look for Shinganga to catch up with that ghost until we make sure it dies in second death.
Let's look at date.
Yes.
Is ZESCO insolvent?
ZESCO has financial problems. If I were to use technical terms, yes, insolvent would be a way to say.
Correct word.
Yes. Now, on 2 accounts. We are in negative working capital. Simply put, if I were to get all my obligations today, people I owe money, all my short-term creditors, who I am supposed to pay on a monthly, weekly, within the end of this year, those people. And I say, what are my resources? Look at my cash, my stocks, and also my debtors. Everyone pays me 100%. I will still have a shortfall to service those people. Now, that means that my working capital is negative. If I was talking to a medical doctor, I would tell them that ZESCO is anemic. It's got no blood to run the body. In that context. Then, let's come to the skeleton. We are also in negative equity, what I would call negative gearing. If we look at the shareholders fund, our money, because you are the shareholder represented by the government, you are the shareholder, your money has been overtaken by those we owe money at that level also. So we have negative equity. So yes, financial health of ZESCO is dire. But that said, we are not focusing on that part. We are focusing on how to come out of there. How are we going to dig ourselves out of this hole?
Do you have a plan?
Plenty, plenty. Because if we had no plan, we would have worked out as a board. We would have told management, hey, we don't need ZESCO. He would have gone to the shareholder, hey, look, there's nothing we can do here. So we have a plan. So what are we looking at? First, we are mobilizing internal resources to start servicing. Most of these debts, like I talked to you about the contractor, are already in motion. The IPPs, we are discussing. We are entering a payment plan. What we've said to them, guys, yes, we have had the problems in the past. Let's look at our conversation. The past and the present. We've broken out these things in two, the past and the present. On the present, what can we afford as ZESCO to? But also your tariff. Can't we discuss your tariff? And we're making good progress. Soon, you may find that most of those tariffs that the IPPs are charging have been adjusted after negotiation. Second, we're saying, okay, fine, we owe you so much. Why don't we come with a payment plan on how we'll be paying you periodically, monthly?
Until we liquidate the
Until we liquidate.
How much are you owing? 3.5, 4.4 billion dollars?
Changes with who you talk to. So here's the point. We owe IPPs in the region of 1.5 billion, give or take. The IPPs. Then the contractors and the other suppliers would put another billion. So region of 2.5 billion or thereabout.
Total debt.
Total debt. And I'm talking as at end of December, because with these discussions and negotiations, people are being paid.
It could be far much less.
It's getting, not far, but it's getting reduced. Far will be pushing it.
a little less. Now, one big issue around this is cost-saving measures.
Yes.
Extravagance, wastefulness.
No, someone once told me something very interesting, and in fact it was Karisto Chitafi. I don't know whether you remember him. He told me a very interesting statement. It says, that time I was CEO of ZECO. I said, CEO, in the land of the hungry, to be seen to be eating is an offense. And it's a very important statement. So we understand the economic situation of Zambia. All of us are going through it, especially those of us who are not employed, because me, I'm unemployed. Board chairs don't get salaries. So that's the point. So I am saying that part of our
measures,
understanding ZESCO, we are looking at the cost driver. What drives this? That is why I'm telling you that, that's why I'm saying, when we looked at the personal to order policy, and we saw some circular from government, guys, why do we still have this management? Go and start this policy. Why are we still having personal to order cars for our senior management when the government is already moving away from it?
And you're even advertising to buy
Porsche
vehicles.
Now, let me put it correctly. On a Monday, 14th March, I am chairing a board meeting. We are approving a change of policy. We say, guys, no, from now on, personal to orders, gone. The only thing we can do, we are going to look at how we can give you an allowance to go and buy whatever car you want, whether you want a helicopter, a bicycle. It will be entirely up to you, because that's for your personal use. We agree on that policy, but meantime, there was already a tender that had been pushed through to say cars will be bought. So when the tender comes out, because the policy was passed on Monday, that tender comes out 2-3 days later. It's not even me who canceled that tender. It's the MD. He says, hey, sorry, Chair, timing difference.
Not due to public outcome.
No. Coincidentally, there is a public outcry. But already there is a change of policy. But because the one that is sweeter is to attribute to public outcry. But the thing is, there's a change of policy.
Minuted.
Minuted, yes. Change of policy, minuted. The board meeting was on the 14th of March 2022. I chaired it, and I have no doubt about it. The only outstanding thing that we haven't done is how to package the allowance, the quantums. But it's already, the principle is also agreed. They will be given allowances to buy cars. They'll go and borrow, not from ZESCO. They'll go and borrow, whatever they have to borrow. Then they'll service their own loans.
And have their own vehicles.
Yes.
But then shortly after that, we see pictures of a luxury bus for ZESCO United.
Yes.
Crossing the border.
Shall I say that is part of our corporate social responsibility? But no. Remember, life is a movement. That bus is already in motion. It's already purchased, everything paid for. And Dr. Kunda will agree with me. It has already been paid for. It's already manufactured where it is. It's just being painted. And the first picture that you saw was not in Zambia. The picture was got from the place where it was done. Someone got it. ZESCO is saying they have no money, but they are making. They saw it at the factory that side.
They're making a very beautiful bus.
But we cannot stop the bus because all the contractual obligations have been met. The bus will come. Now the question is it going to ZESCO United or shall we sell it? That will be another question. But the point is, the bus was already in the process.
It's already bought.
It's already bought.
There'll be no need to sell.
Yeah, no matter how you want to save costs. If I want to save costs and I say, no, there's too much problems, I cannot throw away this suit as cost saving. I've already bought it. The money is committed, sunk costs. So that is the issue of that bus.
When do we hope to see a firm turnaround of ZESCO? Or when should we call you back and ask you to talk about what you have committed?
Once I've launched my strategy plan, I'll come back to you to highlight exactly where I'm taking this company as board chair, along with my board. Remember, something that I always want to emphasize, consultation. I consult my board, I consult my MD, I consult anyone, even Dr. Kunda, I consult, hey, my brother, I want to get Grivasio. Is that a correct thing for me to? He says, oh, yeah, chair. Consultation all the time. So once we have done everything, and I cannot speculate too much, once we've done, I'll come say, Grivasio, these are our plans. And these are our milestones. When we hit a milestone, you'll have the plan. You come, hey, 3 months of your has come. Come and explain to the Zambian people what you said. Then I'll come.
When you hit a crisis, we'll still call you.
When there's a crisis, of course.
We'll still call you. Mr. Nc'ube,
yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Grivasio.
You've been watching Sunday Interview, and our guest was Mr. Vickson Nc'ube, Chairperson, ZESCO Board Chairperson. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week sometime. Doesn't do it.